It's something that'll change the world and human life as we know it.
He knows. He's seen the light.
When Monty talks, it's painful.
Monty, you have been so instrumental in kind of pointing me in the right direction.
It was about looking at your character defects in spirituality.
It's the integration of clinical practices with the 12 steps.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of energy. And sometimes when you don't have so much energy, he picks you up and carries you.
Having the Monty man there certainly helps.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Now here's that guy who's getting less popular minute by minute. Your host, the Multi-Man.
Well, welcome aboard, you scallywags and scallywaggles, to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial, broadcasting to you from the studios of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting on the outskirts of beautiful downtown Albany, Oregon. And hey, listen, our email address is take12radio@comcast.net if you're listening to us on a recorded, downloaded, or whatever device, CD, DVD, whatever. Our email or our website is take12radio.com. You can type in the number 12 or the word 12, either way. And we are broadcasting not only here, but on our YouTube channel, on our social networking sites, and on the Graceful Living Network on AM and FM stations across the country. It is good to have you with us today. Listen, you and I know that some of the most talented people in the world are addicts and alcoholics. And, you know, they can draw a straight line just as well as anybody else when they're clean and sober. But I got to tell you that really, you know, when you remove the substances and you introduce a spiritual experience and a relationship with our Creator, what you have are some of the most talented, compassionate, loving, disciplined people in the world. And it's a shame that many people don't get that. We're so quick to write off the addict or the alcoholic and saying, they're just losers. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. You know, if they just loved God enough, they wouldn't relapse, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that's a crock of BS. It really is. And if any of you, most of you listen to me, know me by now, that we're about the solution here at Take 12 Radio and about breaking stigma. Addiction is the number one health crisis in our world, and yet recovery from it gets the least amount of attention due to stigma. Some of you who are listening have a thwarted view of the addict and the alcoholic, and you just think they're losers. Well, I'm here to tell you that you couldn't be more wrong. When recovery happens, when people recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, all sorts of things emerge. And today on the show, that example is very obvious. And on our YouTube version, you can see we're going to be showing some of the paintings, some of the artwork of my guest this week on the YouTube version. So if you're not listening on the YouTube version, go back and do that because you're going to see some phenomenal pieces of artwork. Well, Kevin Lyon is my guest today. Kevin is a painter, a sculptor, a draftsman, and a craftsman. Kevin's work captures a tense moment of energy, to say the least, giving the viewer a feeling that something monumental is taking place. Kevin uses his own Celtic knot design in much of his work. He received his Bachelor's of Science, majoring in studio art and minoring in art history at Western Oregon University. In 2012, he is the co-founder of the Temporary Artists Guild, a group of Corvallis in the Corvallis, Oregon area, for student artists. In 2010, he also created an engraving business called Lyon, which has allowed him an outlet to sell his art and his crafts. And he is a phenomenal artist, as you can see if you're watching on the YouTube station right now. And we're going to be talking about what my favorite piece of artwork here is in a minute. But welcome, Kevin, to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So have you always had a deep interest in media, in this kind of media, the art and the graphics thing?
Kind of. It came and went. It actually, when I was in the throes of my addiction, it kind of left entirely. So it was there early on in my life, and then was gone for about 12 years. And then when I got sober, it kind of came back. So.
Yeah. Do you, brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Okay. History of talented people in your family?
I don't know. I mean, as far
don't
as,
get yourself in trouble.
as far as visual arts and things like that go, no. I mean, my grandma is a pretty good draftswoman.
Right.
But
right.
You know.
Is this a learned a skill, or is this a God-given talent?
I think it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you are a phenomenal artist.
Thank you very much.
I minored in art history and majored in art appreciation. I taught graphic arts in high school, and I'm not the greatest guy in the world, but I got a pretty critical eye. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I really love your stuff. We're going to be talking more about that here in a minute. But before we do, here's the truth of the matter. Things weren't always going as well as they're going right now. True?
Very true.
Yeah. So what was going on, man? Well, when did you start abusing?
Let's see. It was 1 week when I started smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, and drinking all at the same time.
All at the same. You just jumped right in there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like 15, and
how old are you now?
I'm 31.
31. You were 15 years old. Okay.
Right. And that went on until I was about 27. So.
Yeah. Why?
That's a good question. It's funny. My brother and I, we dealt with alcoholism in our family, and I was one of those people that I knew I was an alcoholic before I ever started drinking, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I would throw away stashes of beer. Like the first day I drank, earlier that day, I was destroying beer that I'd found around my house, because of the problems it would cause there. So, and then inexplicably, the same night, I was stealing my friend's mom's wine coolers. So
you were destroying beer,
right?
And turning around and drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
It is weird.
Yeah. But that's kind of who we are, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of trouble did you get in?
A lot. Over the course of... I got arrested once for contributing alcohol to a minor, which was actually turned out to be a really great thing, because part of that program, my sentencing was I had to go to a couple meetings. And when I went to the meetings, I was, just getting my signature and leaving. But the people there made me take a book. I didn't want one, but they made me take it. And I kept it for 6 years, just hidden.
Was it a big book?
Yeah, it was a big book of AA. Yeah. And I would read the stories in the back, when I would get ashamed and hurt enough to want to quit for a day.
Right.
But it was great because when I finally hit rock bottom and knew I needed to get sober, knew I needed help, I knew where to go. So
yeah.
It took a while to sink in.
Yeah, yeah. So you went from the nudge of a judge.
Yeah, kind of.
In the beginning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now you're grateful for that.
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay. So you went, but did it click right away? No, right?
Not at all. It took 6 years. Yeah.
6 years. Okay, 6 years, and you were out there. Was it? I asked people what was their drug of choice, and a lot of people say more.
Yeah, I would say Keystone Light.
Yeah. Keystone Light.
Yeah. If we're being honest here.
Why?
Yeah, I was not a connoisseur, I think I'm natural born white trash, I think. So.
That's good. Yeah. And me, it was Schlitz, malt liquor.
Yeah, okay.
Because the only thing I was concerned about was, the strength. And for some reason, we thought that the bull was more powerful than the Old English. I don't know where we got that idea, but okay. But it worked for you for a while, didn't it?
What's that, using?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
That was good. But eventually you burned so many bridges, it's just you.
What about your family? How'd they take all this?
Well, for a while, my brother and I were living together and we'd party together. I would tie one on a little harder than him, I think, and that caused some friction. And eventually, he quit drinking, and I moved away to Tulsa for a while, and there I was on my own. So there it got pretty heavy there.
Right.
But
so was your brother one of these guys that he'd had enough?
Yeah, when I moved to Tulsa, he kind of, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he lived in this apartment. He was upstairs, and he flooded he passed out in the bathtub and flooded the downstairs neighbors. And he did that twice, and then he quit. So.
Yeah, so probably not an alcoholic, just an alcohol abuser.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And you're both from the same mom?
Same mom, same dad, yeah.
Okay, but genetically...
Yeah.
You had the allergy of the body and the obsession of the mind, and he did not.
Yeah, pretty much. And looking back genetically about that, in my mom and dad's side, there's a history of alcohol abuse on both. And, I'm Scottish and Irish and Cherokee, so there's three.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Prone to alcoholism, so I got that going for me.
Yeah, so you got the Indian side of you has got the chemical that
right.
A lot of times it occurs within the Native American. If you got Irish going on there,
it's game over.
Yeah, it's like, man, what do you mean I've had enough, right? Because they celebrate, you drop a pencil on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit about what happened the first day you walked into a 12-step support meeting. Kind of like, what were you feeling? Were you welcomed? I mean, let's just talk about your experience with that, and then we'll take it from there. All right, more with my guest today, Kevin Lyon. He is an artist extraordinaire. Really, he is. Amazing work. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about his story. The website that you really want to visit is kevinandcaseylyon.wordpress.com. True? Is that the correct address?
Cassie, yeah.
Cassie. So it's KEVIN and CASSIELYON.wordpress.com. Or if you're on the website, you can just follow the link right here on Friday's page. Sweet. All right, we'll be back. Don't go away.
Free by the Sea is a drug and alcohol recovery center located in beautiful Ocean Park, Washington. This facility is amazingly gorgeous, but what's even more amazing is the integrity of the staff and the treatment provided for those wishing to recover from narcotic and alcohol addiction. The folks at Free by the Sea have a passion for presenting the solution to addiction for you or your loved one. To speak with an admission specialist, visit freebythesea.com or call toll-free 800-272-9199. This place is simply amazing.
Hey there, this is the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio. Many of us have attended all sorts of addiction symposiums and treatment conventions, and so much of the time we walk away from these events feeling like we've been preaching to the choir just one more time. May I suggest a different kind of substance abuse and addiction treatment event? The Evolution of Addiction Treatment Conference, February 5th through the 8th, 2015, at the Westin Los Angeles Airport Hotel and Convention Center. The current field of substance abuse and addiction treatment has been evolving for almost 8 decades now. And during this time, we have seen many important developments as well as many failed experiments. It seems time to step back and conduct a professional inventory of where we have been, where we are now, and where we are heading. Well, this conference will provide a forum that encourages professional dialogues of controversial issues, showcases innovative and creative treatment approaches, and offers an overview of the field and its future. For more information, visit www.theevolutionofaddictiontreatment.com. Join me and many of my guests as we attend the Evolution of Addiction Treatment Conference February 5th through the 8th at the Westin Los Angeles Airport Hotel and Convention Center, 2015. All right, welcome back. You have joined us here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial. This is Interview Friday, and my guest, Kevin Lyon, artist and a gentleman who has been through the ringer like some of us have. sharing his experience, strength, and hope, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. So the first time you walked into a 12-step support meeting, what was going through your head?
Well, like I said, the very first time I wasn't ready. It was the nudge from the judge, like you said.
Yeah.
But for me, the real first time I walked in was 4 years ago when I was there voluntarily. And it was nerve-wracking, but the first time was easy because I had the pain of my bottom the previous night and morning still fresh in my memory. And so I knew I needed to be there. I knew I couldn't fight this battle on my own, and I needed someone bigger in my corner. So it was the second meeting that was the hard one, because then it was like a habit, like, oh great, I'm the loser going to AA every night, So. But no, my first meeting, the thing that sticks out the most in my memory was the guy who eventually became my sponsor, Clayton. He asked me if I had 24 hours sober so I could get a 24-hour coin,
I know Clayton.
You do? Yeah.
He lives in Salem now, maybe?
He moved to Dallas.
Dallas,
yeah.
Right.
A little crazy.
Yeah, I know Clayton.
Yeah. So, I told him no, I had like 18 hours, so I had to come back.
Yeah.
And that meeting didn't meet on the next day. It was a Wednesday, so I had to come back on Thursday. So there I was like sober 3 days just to get my 24-hour coin.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But you stayed.
Yeah, kept coming back.
Yeah. And did he sit down and crack the book open with you and start a step process?
Yeah, when eventually I got the nerve to ask him to be my sponsor, it was like asking him out to a dance or something. But he said yes. So yeah, we met in a Burger King and started going through the book.
Right. Yeah, and he doesn't mess around, does he?
No, he's very much. This is what it says. This is what we'll do. So
yeah. Good for you. So okay, let me ask you. This is an interesting thing that a lot of people of faith that I interview that are members of the faith community experience. Let me ask you first. What was your relationship with God before you got into recovery?
Yeah, I still struggle with that. When I was 13, when I was a kid, like doing book reports in school, I'd always do them on books of the Bible, or prophecy fulfilled. And it was weird, but
were you going to a Christian school? Is that why?
No, it was a public school. I was just always drawn to that. My parents didn't go to church or anything. I don't know. It just kind of happened that way. But when I was 13, I went through a baptism class and got baptized, and then everything just started going downhill from there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so it wasn't until with Clayton again, we were working the third step, and that's when I really started my walk with Jesus. I remember exactly where I was, and I didn't want to do the third step because I didn't want to sit there and say, okay, I will always be doing God's will, and he said, you just have to be willing to do God's will. And that was a pivotal moment, light bulb,
Yeah. Well, okay, so your relationship with God really changed during your third step. Now, when I work with people, one of the things that I tell people that are perhaps agnostic or don't know, they're not sure, I tell them, look, you don't have to get this God thing all at once, but if you work through this step process after step 3, you'll grow in this.
Yeah.
And you'll come to a crossroads where you're going to have to make a decision, and it won't be mine to make. And so in this process of working these steps, what happened with you and God? I mean, were you angry with him? Did you feel blessed? I mean, or was it both?
I was more angry at myself.
Okay.
With sobriety comes a little clarity, and you can start looking back in all of our millimeters and nanosecond near-death experiences, and it becomes obvious that God was there the entire time.
Yeah.
Holding your drunken hand.
Right.
So, it's a little mad at myself for not seeing that, and grateful beyond words for His grace. So, it became apparent that He was the one helping me not drink. And so I was like, oh, I bet I can quit smoking cigarettes too. So I quit smoking cigarettes with his help, and it was, and it just became living for him instead of living for me.
It has been said that that addiction will take you further than you want to go, cause you to spend more than you want to spend, and you'll stay longer than you want to stay. Okay. Did you have a hard time forgiving Kevin?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's something I still struggle with sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah. Like most people, I'm my worst critic. So,
can I share with you something my sponsor told me about forgiving myself?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
This blew my mind. He said, "You're not called to forgive yourself." I said, "What? What?" And he goes, "You are not. You are not the Almighty. I said, what do you mean by that? I mean, I need to forgive myself, blah, blah, blah. You know, 'cause that's what I heard. I heard you got to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
He said, look, he's done that. You need to receive his forgiveness. But if you're trying to accomplish your own forgiveness, you're probably going to spin your wheels, because you're not divinity. And I went, wow. And what I realized was, because I was spending a lot of time with that.
Okay.
And he was just telling me, it's done, dude.
Yep.
It's done. I thought, wow, okay, all right. And then, but I still, to be honest, you know, if I, you know, get off track in an area, I can beat myself up. Like if I raise my voice when I shouldn't,
Sure.
or something like that, I'm like, oh, you loser. And I have to remember, right, that because of what God's done for me in my life, I'm a winner.
Right.
Yeah, and you are too. There you go, for fun and for free.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's also the same thing about trusting people. I was like, I can't trust people. And he told me, he says, you were never called to trust people. You were called to trust God and love people.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Well, that's amazing. So these people in our lives, these spiritual advisors, these mentors and stuff, are so important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And you have people like that in your life. They have permission to yank on your chain if they think you're going sideways, right?
Yeah, several.
Yeah, several of them do. Oh, that's funny. Well, okay, so what got you into art?
Well, I was taking, like I said, I had about 12 years off from when I started using, and so when I got clean, I started picking up a pencil again, and then I picked up a Dremel, and I started engraving. And Clayton, my sponsor, he really encouraged that. You know, he said, yeah, it's good. You got a couple of things going for you. One, you believe in God. Two, you've got a hobby. You know, just pour it into that. So that's what I did.
Your work is amazing. So when you sit down to and we're showing pictures right now on the YouTube version, when you sit down to create, what's going through your head? I mean, you know, we know musicians sometimes will write the music first and the words second, or vice versa. What's going through your head? Do you just start, or do you wait for inspiration, or what?
Well, my process has kind of changed. I think when I started, it would be, I would read. I did a painting about this actually. It's 2 Corinthians 10:5. But that's my process at the time. Was I'd read something in the Bible, it would resonate. You know, I'd get that prompting, and that's what I'd paint on. And most of the time, I would paint the words right there on the painting.
Right.
With my earlier works, and it kind of changed. You know, God graced me with the how, and occasionally, you know, and I pray and I get the what. But most of the time, I don't really understand the why, if ever a year later or so, you know. So,
do you ever start something out and it just evolves as you're going?
Yeah, I think it really depends on what medium I'm using, you know, and I just kind of let it be what it is and go from there.
So far, from the ones that I've seen, and I know you have more, but from ones that I've seen, my favorite one is Nehemiah.
Okay. Oh, Nehemiah 4, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it's up here. I got to make a note here on my thing here, because I want to make sure this comes up on the YouTube. It's up on the YouTube channel right now. One of the reasons I love this is because it seems to have some Salvador Dali overtones to it.
Okay.
And he's my favorite artist.
All right, yeah.
He was absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine that guy at a 12-step meeting? But I was attracted to it right away. Can you tell us about what's going on in this painting?
Yeah. At the time when I painted that, I was going through what was the name of that study? It was with Roger, our mutual friend. But it was we were going through the Bible systematically, and we were going over Nehemiah and how he came back to Jerusalem after their exile, and he had to build that wall, you know. And I kind of likened that to our experience as Christians in the world. We need to guard our hearts. We need to build our wall up. You know, we need a hammer in one hand and a sword, like the word in the other. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that was about. Was just protecting what's most important, which is you know, our hearts.
Right. Your wife, Cassie, is an artist too.
Amazing artist, yeah.
Amazing artist.
Yeah.
And her work is also on the website. My favorite one that she's done is called Revelations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And that seems to have a little Van Goghish kind of flavor to it, with the little lines and stuff. But I will tell you that even though, like I said, you get some Dali stuff and Van Gogh stuff, you guys are very much your own artists. And even though there may be some of those flavors that I can kind of see in there, you guys aren't copying anybody else's style. I mean, it is definitely your own. And I appreciate that, because there's a lot of good artists out there, but that's all they do is duplicate somebody else's work.
Right.
And that's why I do think that there's a God-given talent there in both you guys. So let me ask you, how long you guys been married?
Let's see. We've been married a little over a year. Year and a half.
A little over a year. Did she know what she was getting into?
I don't think so. That's why I was able to snag her quick, She was like,
right.
Before she knew who I was, I had her. So
yeah. So, and both being this creative, there's got to be some interesting discussions, right?
We're pretty harsh on each other.
Are you?
We give each other critiques at home, and we don't pull any punches.
Does she ever look at something you've done and saying, it's just not doing anything for me?
She's more specific than that, but I think I'm probably the harsher critic there.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So.
Yeah. Okay. What does she think about your whole recovery thing in your past, man?
Luckily, the way God works, her father actually has a considerable amount of time sober, and her mother was involved in Al-anon, and so they're no strangers to recovery, and that was an instant in with her dad, so we could swap war stories and stuff. But no, she has a healthy respect for it. She knows that who I wasn't someone she would ever consider being with, and who I am. And she never knew me during my addictions, so it's hard for her to imagine, I think.
Now, my parents never saw me in active addiction. They knew of it, but they never experienced it face to face. And one of the things my mom would say, we'd be watching Cops or something, right? And she'd go, well, thank God you were never that bad. And I'm like, oh, if you only knew. Did she ever say something like that? Like, I mean, you weren't like that, right, Kevin?
I can tell she's thinking it, and sometimes it's like, yeah, I did that,
I see somebody on Cops, and I'm like, well, at least I wasn't on TV, you loser.
Yeah, right. You got caught. I'm better than you.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about your faith and how this meshes with this whole recovery thing, because there's some great things there, but there's some challenges too, right?
Absolutely.
All right, folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
As men and women who have recovered from utterly hopeless states of addiction ourselves, we know all too well what it's like to battle addiction daily. We are Origins Recovery Centers. Here at Origins, we have taken that which we have learned along the way, excised anything unhelpful and unnecessary, infused it with the latest medical research and innovative therapeutic methods, and created what we know to be the absolute gold standard in substance abuse treatment. And Origins provides the most preeminent aftercare and relapse prevention program available in the United States. For a free confidential clinical assessment, call toll-free 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Hey there, it's Monty Meyer from Take 12 Recovery Radio. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know about a brand new service being provided to those of you in the Willamette Valley and surrounding areas of Oregon. It's the ARS program, Addiction Recovery Services, being made available Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Oak Creek Christian Center, located at 5775 Columbus Street Southeast in Albany, Oregon. If you or a loved one are living with addiction issues such as chemical dependency, alcoholism, opiate addiction, pornography, sexual addiction, eating disorders, or even codependency issues, we are here to help you. Here at ours, we have resources available that you may not be aware of that can help you or your loved one recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. We offer experience, strength, and hope as we have been there ourselves, and feel it imperative to assist you in obtaining the help you need to begin to experience the life you were meant to and created to enjoy. Well, perhaps you are not personally afflicted by any form of addiction, but you know and love someone who is. You've tried everything and feel at a loss as to what to do next to help. May I encourage you to pick up the phone today and call us here at 541-926-7981. You can call Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to schedule an appointment with our Addiction Resource and Support Department. You don't have to belong to a church or even believe in God to take the advantage of our services. All you need is a willingness to seek help. That number again, 541-926-7981. That's 541-926-7981 to schedule an appointment. We look forward to hearing from you, and remember, you don't have to go through this alone.
Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain.
All right, welcome back to the show. Kevin Lyon, artist. Also a man who's been through the recovery process and is living free from the bondage of self and active addiction here at take12radio.com, sharing his experience, strength, and hope. The website is kevinandcassielyon.wordpress.com. You can follow the links here at on Friday's page. And I encourage you to do that because you'll see a whole lot more of their work on that website as well. Now, okay, Kevin, you're a Christian.
Correct.
All right. What kind of challenges is that? Let's talk about within the body of Christ first. We'll talk about the secular 12-step world in a minute, but in the body of Christ, what kind of challenges is that brought to the forefront for you as really a 12-stepper?
Okay, sure. Well, early in my sobriety, I was pretty judgmental. And so I'd go to church, and you see the pew warmers on Sunday, and every once in a while I would think, what are they doing here? They're just getting their look good on when they should be
right
at home, whatever, at the gym or something. But eventually, I came to the realization that I'm no better, and we're all just trying to figure this thing out together. So,
sure.
But that was one of the biggest struggles I had in the faith community was phonies. So,
what about? Were there people in the faith community that looked at you as somebody in recovery and just couldn't figure out why you just couldn't stop? Why can't you just buck up and trust God?
Yeah, one of my favorite pastors often he refers to alcoholics as ex-alcoholics. When they're saved and in the church and
right.
walking with Christ and I can't get it through to them that you're not an ex-alcoholic. That's like saying you're ex-blue-eyed. So.
Ex-diabetic.
Yeah, right. This doesn't happen. So there is a lack of understanding, I think, for addiction in the church body. But I mean, that's everywhere, not just in the church.
Do you think it's getting better though? With things like Celebrate Recovery and Alcoholics for Christ and those kind of things, you think?
I couldn't answer that. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got 4 years, so I don't have a very long time frame of a reference
to compare it to. Well, I got to tell you though, 4 years is nothing to balk at.
Thanks.
It is not. I'll never forget. We threw a 30-day party for a gal in our church.
Okay.
She'd been struggling for years, and she finally got 30 days. And we made this big banner and said, "Congratulations on 30 days." And a very well-meaning member of the church looked at the banner and said, "Oh, is that all?" Oh man! I was like, "Well, you don't get it." That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What about within the recovery circles? I mean, did you ever feel uncomfortable in those meetings? As a believer in Christ?
Absolutely. There's some meetings where they don't let you say the G word, and they refrain away from church talk. It's even in their opening, no church talk. And that's another thing. I was judgmental there. You watch people who they say that your higher power can be anything, a doorknob, the meeting, the group. I've noticed that people that do that tend to get stuck in a loop in the group, and they don't move past that. So I think it's better to have a higher power.
And we talk about that, becoming meeting dependent instead of God dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we harp on that a lot, especially on our Wednesday show. And really, there's a difference, right, between the fellowship and the literature. Just like there's a difference between the body of Christ and the Word of God.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, as human beings, we really muddy the waters.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So okay. What do you do today to maintain a healthy state of recovery?
The biggest key for me is staying in the Word. Like I told you earlier off air, Roger is my accountability buddy, as my brother likes to call him.
Accountability buddy? Yeah, I like that. That's good.
But, we have these different things that we hold each other accountable for, and one of them is staying in the Word 5 days a week, and that's key. That's instrumental for me, just and my sanity's sake.
Right.
So that's good.
Right. So you have accountability.
Right.
You're in the Word of God on a regular basis, and you recognize that you're eligible too, right? I mean, you could fall off track if you don't do certain things.
Right. I haven't had a using dream since last night, so.
Yay!
Yeah. Good to know those don't go away.
Right. But has God removed the obsession to you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was early on, actually. It was great. I was gifted with this repulsion of physical, when I started thinking too much about beer. So that was a gift from God that I still have today.
Right. And that's great. In fact, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous says, and this is in reference to somebody who has had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. You can't have a spiritual awakening as a result of steps you haven't worked.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's talking about that. It says the alcohol problem has been removed. Doesn't mean we're not allergic, but the obsession is gone.
Right.
And what's so remarkable about that is, we're not talking about alcohol abusers or drug abusers. We're talking about the addict and the alcoholic, the person that when they're using or drinking, they have little or no control over how much or how often they do. And when they're sober, they can't stay that way.
Right.
And that's the piece. That's the tricky piece, because our thinking that it'll be different this time. It won't, I won't get in trouble. It'll be all right that I can drink like a normal person, blah, blah, blah. That happens when we're stone cold sober.
Right.
The allergy, the body happens once we put it in there. And then the obsession's gone because now we're experiencing the phenomenon of craving. Right? So in sobriety is when the crazy thinking happens.
Yeah, you get comfortable.
Yeah. So that's where we have to be vigilant. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in painting, in doing this, does that help your recovery, your sobriety, your sanity?
Yeah, it's therapeutic, sure. To bring the whole idea of being comfortable and that being the danger zone into painting, in ancient, high Renaissance paintings, there would be rabbits in them all the time. And rabbits were representative of the Christian because rabbits would run uphill.
Yep.
And so when there's danger, they go uphill and they're safe. They go up the rocks, and then when everything's fine, they come downhill, but they stumble. Stereotypically,
Right.
that was the thing. So, comfort zone is a deadly thing. So
yeah, you bet. One of the things that always amazed me about art history was how there was a period of time where babies had the faces of adults.
That's creepy.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But don't we kind of do that to kids today? We expect them to be adults when they're 12,
Sure.
13. We involve them in adult issues, and we get dysfunctional families and children from all that kind of stuff. So it's amazing how the art world and how it mingles with our sick society.
Yeah, they kind of reflect each other. So
they do. Okay, Kevin. So people can they purchase your work?
Yeah. We'll be having a show at the Majestic Theater in Corvallis in February at the reception, February 19th. So
February 19th.
Yeah,
I'm writing this down.
Okay, cool. You should come.
February 19th at the Majestic Theater.
Yeah, on 2nd Street in Corvallis.
Okay. 2nd Street.
So
what time?
I'm not sure. I think it's 6 p.m.
Okay. So it'll be an all evening.
Yeah, it's during the Corvallis Art Walk. So
okay. All right. So February 19th, Majestic Theater in Corvallis. Folks, if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, come to the area.
Absolutely.
And check that out. So, okay, one of the things people want to know is how much do these things cost? What's your price range? Do you have from very inexpensive to very expensive, or?
Yeah, it's also kind of time relevant too. At
Right.
this show, we'll be offering them up for sale probably between $80 and $150, per piece. Some of the larger ones might be more,
Right.
and some of them might not be for sale. But we also, my wife and I have been striving to get our work in churches and just give it out to whoever wants it. So
Wow.
I don't think we can really pull that in a gallery because they want a commission. But
Sure.
yeah, in a
Sure.
church lobby or something. That's our goal.
Now you mentioned larger. You do a lot of larger work, right?
Yeah.
Larger than life kind of stuff. Tell us about some of that.
Well, I'm just naturally drawn to that. I actually do larger paintings much quicker than I do smaller paintings. I feel kind of hemmed in. But they're great because you can throw as much emotion and energy as you want at that canvas or board or whatever you're painting on, and
Right.
it'll just take it all, just soak it all up. So,
Wow. So you do murals?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done murals for churches?
Yeah, I just recently did one for Prince of Peace out in Adair Village.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about larger than life stuff. We're talking about, when we say murals, we're not just talking about, a wall in a room, a little room. We're talking about like a foyer kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that one I think was 30 feet by 26 feet.
Yeah.
tall, so.
Yeah. So you ever get in a funk?
You mean like a creative funk?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've never had that writer's block thing. So
Yeah. Well, you still have your hair too. So.
The only thing that is funky to me is time. I run out of time a lot,
Oh.
So I've got more ideas than I have time. So
Do you ever start several and find it difficult which one to complete?
yeah, I've got a couple half finished.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about your wife? Do you guys ever do anything together? Do you create things?
Yeah, actually, that was a great idea for a cheap date I had when we started dating. So we go out and we'd paint a river or a lake or something together, both working on the same canvas. And then
Right.
at Western Oregon, they have a Tuesday night modeling session, and we used to go to that and paint the models together.
Uh-huh.
Which people got a kick out of that. So
Do you have prints of any of your stuff?
yeah, my wife's really the printmaker.
She's the printmaker.
Yeah, but we have some prints of paintings as well. Yeah.
Right. Because I want Nehemiah.
Okay. Yeah, talk about that painting is actually unfinished. I've never.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never finished that one. So.
Well, get on it, dude. You better call your sponsor. All right, Kevin and Cassie Lyon .wordpress, or excuse me, yes, Kevin and Cassie Lyon .wordpress.com is the website where you can view many of these paintings. Now, not all of the paintings you've done are on that website, right?
Right.
I mean, if I know an artist, you got
a whole mess of them.
A whole mess of them.
Part of the reason we're going to be giving them away. We have too many.
You got to clean things out. And we would be more than happy to display one here at the studio. That's for sure.
Okay.
Both of you guys are amazing artists. My favorite again is Nehemiah. Cassie's is Revelations. This is a passion of both of yours. And you're giving away something that, this is a term we use in recovery a lot. You're giving away what God has given to you.
Right.
And do you think, we talked about it being therapeutic, do you think that this has helped your sobriety, helped to enhance it?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of the function of my sobriety. That's my purpose now.
This is your, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's good stuff, man. And I think a lot of people need to see this stuff. And I know you want the right people to see this stuff. Have you ever been contacted by anybody that was influential that said, you know what? I want to get a hold of you and I want to talk to you about maybe displaying this stuff on a larger scale? Has that ever happened yet?
No, it has not.
Well, maybe because of the radio show, the right person will hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you approached me, so I got that going for me.
I'm blushing. And that's a lot of blush, by the way, with no hair. All right, Kevin, any closing thoughts, man, as we close out the show?
Yeah, I guess I would just say the main goal of this art is to spur a conversation in the same way that you give a stranger a high five and then they in turn have a good day and go home and share it with their family or whatever. Right. That's the whole goal of my painting, at least, is to spread these positive cause and effect chains. throughout society. So.
Yeah, good for you. I want to give a shout out to Roger, our buddy Roger.
Yeah, Roger Younger.
Yeah, for introducing us, really getting us in contact. Thank you, Roger. That is awesome. Are you going to come back to the ministerial meeting thing?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. As long as they don't kick me out, you know.
We won't don't kick me out, so they won't.
I feel like everyone there has a lot more clout than me. So
no,
yeah, I'll go anyway.
It's a level playing field. Believe me, brother. It really is. All right, Kevin Lyon's been my guest. Say hi to your wonderful wife.
Hey, Cassie.
And just keep doing it, man. It's marvelous work. Kevin and Cassie Lyon.wordpress.com. And they can contact you there. They can buy your stuff there and the whole 9 yards. My friends, listen, share this show. Make a copy. You know that we give you permission to make copies of the show and share them. Really, the YouTube version is the best one here because you get to see some of the work. And if somebody wanted to commission you for a painting, is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right on. Just contact you on the website and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Are you nervous now?
No, I'm good.
You're all good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ready to host your own show? Ready to go?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Right on, my friend. Yeah, but you're moving to the desert.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, really, huh? All right. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin Lyon's been my guest. Folks, don't forget our email address, take12radio@comcast.net, and our website, www.take12radio.com. Visit our social networking sites. Join us there as well. Facebook.com/Take12Radio, and there's a whole bunch of other ones too, right there at the bottom of all of our main pages at Take12Radio.com. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man along with Kevin Lyon, and we're wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.